On the news, Supreme Court affirms Akeredolu's election as Ondo governor. A court frees Shiite leader El Zakzaki and wife. And WHO says over 124,000 Africans die yearly from untreated hepatitis. It's great to have you join us on News Now. I am Oyin Adekunle. A Kaduna High Court has discharged and acquitted the embattled leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Ibrahim El Zakzaki, and his wife Zinat. In a ruling that lasted over 8 hours, the presiding judge, Justice Gideon Kurada, upheld the no-case submission filed by El Zakzaki and his wife in a case of alleged culpable homicide, unlawful assembly, and disruption of public peace leveled against them by the Kaduna State government. The judge in his ruling held that the case lacks merit. El Zakzaki and his wife have been in detention since December 2015 following a bloody clash between his followers and soldiers in Zaria, Kaduna State. And the Supreme Court has upheld the victory of Rotimi Akeredolu of the All Progressives Congress APC in the last governorship election in Ondo State. The People's Democratic Party PDP and its candidate Eyitayo Jegede had approached the appeal court to challenge Akeredolu's candidacy, insisting that his nomination form was signed by a sitting governor, Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State, who doubles as the acting national chairman of the APC. This was based on the constitutional provision which forbids sitting governors from holding executive positions outside their statutory position as governors. However, in the majority judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Agim on Wednesday, 4 of the 7-member panel dismissed Jegede and PDP's appeal on the grounds that it was incompetent. Joining us on the news to discuss more on the Supreme Court ruling is Monday Obani, the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association section on public interest and development law. Barrister Obani, thank you very much for joining us on News Now. Now, this was a very close shave for Akeredolu, 4-3. I mean, 3 of the judges actually held that Jegede's appeal should be allowed. What are your thoughts on the Supreme Court ruling?
Well, there was not much tension with regards to this decision that was that took place today with regards to Akeredolu's electoral victory. Remember that at the tribunal he won, at the Court of Appeal he also won, and then this is the final court, and that is the Supreme Court. So one was not expecting much upheaval in the court judgment, but it's surprising that the opposition, I mean the man that went to appeal, the appellant, was able to secure 3 judges in his favor with regards to the decision that was reached today. It was clearly a close shave, and too close to call, you will call it in politics. But Akeredolu managed to snatch away victory, and he got 4 in his favor. Now, the position of the court with regards to what may have caused an upheaval was the issue of the governor, Buni, that actually signed for Akeredolu. So the issue is that being an executive governor of a state, he had no statutory requirement to do all that. If he does that, when he is holding a position as an executive governor, that would be regarded as clearly invalid and unlawful and unconstitutional. And it was a very major issue that was raised on appeal, which would have actually led to the nullification of the electoral victory of Governor Akeredolu. But the 4 judges took the position that since the governor, who was accused of not having the power to do what he did, was not made a party, there is no way the election or the electoral victory of Akeredolu will be nullified. Whereas the other 3 judges took the position that as long as the governor went out of his way to do what he did that was clearly outside the constitutional power of his present position as a governor, that it clearly violated the provisions of the Constitution for which the electoral victory would have been nullified. So it was clearly a close shave, you know. So the issue that he was not made a party, Buni was not made a party, became an issue that actually, you know, worked in favor of Akere Dolu, and that was how he managed to snatch away victory with clearly a close shave, you know, clearly a close shave, and it would have been an upheaval in our political history if he had lost at the Supreme Court.
Barrister Albani, another thing I wanted to get your take on is the Kaduna court ruling on El Zakzaki. Now, this is one case that has been on for the past 4 years, and it's not the first time that the court has ruled for El Zakzaki and his wife to be released, although this time it's been discharged by the trial judge. Now, do you see things playing out differently with this latest ruling?
Well, if it's a country that respects the rule of law, this is a judgment of the court that has actually upheld the no-case submission that was made by the defense counsel. And what is that procedure? It is a procedure a defense counsel takes if after the presentation of the evidence of the prosecution and there is no nexus between the alleged crime and the accused person, the defense counsel has a right to come up with the application that there is no thing that will warrant the defense to enter into the witness box to give evidence. And if the court upholds his argument, it means that the case has been dismissed. So what happened is that the court upheld the no-case submission that was made by the defense counsel, and that argument stood, and it means that he should be discharged and acquitted, and it means that the judgment of the court has to be obeyed. So the government of Kaduna has no reason to keep El Zakzaki and his wife in detention, having gotten the judgment that was actually rendered today, which is clearly in their favor. So my advice is that we must respect the rule of law. If they want to appeal, fine, they can go ahead and appeal. But the judgment of the court today is that he is required to be free, having not succeeded in proving any element of crime linking the wife and the man to the alleged crime they were alleged to have committed.
Barrister Albani, we thank you very much for joining us on News Now and for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you very much for your time. Now, away from judicial matters now to politics. After months of speculations, former governor of Imo State, Ikedio Hakim, has finally joined the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. Hakim, who was a staunch ally of former governor Emeka Ihedioha, announced his defection at his country home in Okohia, Isialambano local government area of Imo State. He was elected as governor of Imo in 2007 on the political platform of the People's Progressive Party, but later abandoned his party and returned to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Recalling how Governor Hope Uzodinma supported him as governor, Hakim said he joined the ruling party to help the state governor deliver more dividends of democracy to the people of Imo State. Nigeria's ambassador to Benin Republic, Tukur Buratai, has met with the president of French-speaking West African nation, Patrice Talon. Buratai, along with the ambassadors of Ghana, Gabon, and Norway to Benin Republic, were all presented their official letters of credence. To Talon. Buratai's meeting with the Beninese president comes amid the planned extradition of Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho, who was arrested in Cotonou on July 19, 2021, while he tried to catch a flight to Germany. In a statement, the Beninese government said Talon granted audience to each of the new ambassadors and discussed with them on the revitalization and strengthening of bilateral cooperation between their different countries and Benin Republic. The Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Pauline Talon, has hailed the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabor, for launching the Armed Forces of Nigeria Gender Policy. The minister conveyed her appreciation during a visit to General Irabor at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. The minister also called for participation of more women in military operations and other engagements in line with the gender policy of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Responding, General Irabor confirmed that approval had been given for women in uniform program to be held annually, while also assuring that the place of women remains the focus of his command.
The centrality of women in peace and development is perhaps what led the UN to come up with UN Resolution 1325 that looks at the role of women in peace and conflict resolution. So that we have also acknowledged and we have realized, and we have been able to factor the role of women in all facets of our operational training for combat, training for conflict resolution, training for even peacekeeping and peace enforcement. And so what we'll continue to do is to fine-tune the technicalities of that posture, that training posture, in order to become more efficient as we go forward.
The issues of gender-based violence across the military is low because of the increased awareness campaign that your gender advisors and your good office has embarked. Nonetheless, we appeal for increase of more awareness because gender-based violence, rape issues occur on daily basis. Going forward, like Oliver Twist, I'm here to appeal for the increase in the number of women in the Nigerian Defense Academy.
And in health matters, the World Health Organization, WHO, has described hepatitis as a silent epidemic with more than 90 million people living with the disease in Africa, representing 26% of the global total. WHO Regional Director for Africa, Mashidiso Moheti, in a message to commemorate the World Hepatitis Day, said more than 124,000 Africans die each year as a result of undiagnosed and untreated hepatitis, adding that around 4.5 million African children under 5 years were infected with a chronic hepatitis B. Well, joining us now on the news to shed more light on this is Dr. Nsiabasi Ekanem, a public health physician. He joins us via telephone. Dr. Ekanem, thank you very much for joining us on News Now. Now, first, could you educate us more on this killer disease and help us understand why it's not receiving as much attention as it should?
Well, thank you very much for having me. The viral hepatitis is a group of viruses that attack the human liver. It infects the liver and causes liver damage, which ultimately leads to liver cancer. That's what kills people. It's actually a very, very serious disease for not just Africa, but for the entire world, with a global burden of about 325 million across the world. It is a serious issue, and that's why the World Health Assembly in 2016 described viral hepatitis as a public health emergency of international concern. In that declaration of 2016, the World Health Assembly encouraged or urged member countries to put in enough investment towards addressing, the scourge of viral hepatitis across the world in terms of financial commitment and, of course, regulatory commitment. Unfortunately, a number of countries across the world, particularly in Africa, including Nigeria, have failed, to implement this commitment, even when Nigeria was one of the signatories to this commitment. As a result of that, we are seeing that there is very low access to diagnosis, there's low access to treatment, because most hepatitis patients in Nigeria are paying out of pocket. And of course, there is low access to vaccination. That's why about millions of children in Nigeria have not been able to have access to universal birth dose vaccine for hepatitis B.
Now, sorry to cut you here, Dr. Ekanem, but for want of time now, let's just get your professional advice now on tips and preventive measures against hepatitis.
Thank you. So for prevention of hepatitis, the strategy or the modality here is to adopt healthy behaviors that will reduce our risk of contacting the virus. And the modalities include, number one, avoiding indiscriminate sharing of sharp items. This is one of the ways that we can prevent hepatitis, because hepatitis moves from one person to other when a person who is infected uses a sharp item and another person who is not infected uses the same item, and perhaps there is an exchange of blood through the sharp item. Again, mother-to-child transmission is one way we must help to protect ourselves from hepatitis by ensuring that all children born are given the universal best dose vaccination. These vaccines will help to protect them from contacting hepatitis even when they are exposed to. Again, we must actually ensure safer sex. So if you are having sex with somebody whose status you do not know, it is important that you use a condom, or as much as possible you ensure that you get yourself vaccinated, because if you do not, then you may contact the virus. Again, we need to ensure that we prevent child-to-child transmission by ensuring that all children abide by the safety precautions against viral hepatitis. So with this, we can actually beat viral hepatitis. But the most important thing is vaccination, and vaccination is all that we need to do. Everybody must be vaccinated against hepatitis B, because it's the only insurance policy.
Dr. Ekanem, I'm afraid I have to cut you here. That's all we can take because of time. Thank you very much, Dr. Nsiabasi Ekanem, public health physician, for educating us more on hepatitis B. Well, we'll take a break here, but still to come, Nigeria records highest daily COVID-19 cases in 4 months. Details of that and more shortly. Thanks for staying with us on News Now. Here is a quick reminder of some of our top stories tonight. Kaduna High Court has discharged and acquitted the embattled leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and his wife Zinat. Justice Gideon Kurada upheld the no-case submission filed by Zakzaky and his wife in a case of alleged culpable homicide, unlawful assembly and disruption of public peace leveled against them by the Kaduna State government, ruling that the case lacks merit. And we also told you that the Supreme Court has upheld the victory of Rotimi Akeredolu of the All Progressives Congress APC in the last governorship election in Imo State. The People's Democratic Party and its candidate Eyitayo Jegede had approached the appeal court to challenge Akeredolu's candidacy. However, in the majority judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Ajim on Wednesday, 4 of the 7-member panel dismissed Jegede and PDP's appeal on the grounds that it was incompetent. In case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're TV360 Online. There's been a sharp rise in the number of COVID-19 cases recorded in Nigeria as the country reported its highest daily count of infections in the last 4 months on Tuesday. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disclosed in its latest update that the outbreak, with a total of 404 new cases, were recorded in the last 24 hours in 24 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Lagos topped the infection chart with 356 cases, followed by Rivers and FCT with 18 and 7 cases, respectively. According to the NCDC, 39 persons were discharged after recovering from the infection, and no death was recorded on Tuesday, leaving the fatality toll at 2,134. Well, we'll take another break here, and when we return, it will be time for business news. Please stay with us.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. you and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app. If you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back, and I'll leave you with Bisola Adebayo for the latest in the world of business. Bisola, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Oyin. Welcome to Business News. Beyond retaining all monetary parameters, one of the major outcomes of the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee meeting was the decision to ban the sale of forex to Bureau de Change operators in Nigeria. The decision, which some have described as a brave move, has however been met with mixed reactions from many Nigerians. Our correspondent Folashade Ogunride has that story.
Steady rise, whether for business transactions or indulgent luxuries, the dollar is always in high demand. But the snag is how much you can exchange the dollar for and the local naira, as the parallel market through the Bureau de Change have become major drivers in the foreign exchange market.
We have noted with disappointment and grave concern that our Bureau de Change operators have abandoned the original objective of their establishment, which was to serve retail end users who need $5,000 or less. Instead, they have become wholesale dealers and illegally in foreign exchange to the tune of millions of dollars per transaction. Despite the fact that Nigeria is the only country in the world today where a central bank sells dollar directly to Bureau de Change operators. Operators in the Nigeria's Bureau de Change segment have not reciprocated the bank gesture to help maintain price stability in that market.
To this end, the CBN governor believes sanctions must be imposed.
The central bank will henceforth discontinue the sale of foreign exchange to Bureau de Change operators. B. The bank will no longer process or issue new licenses for BDC operations in the country. This stoppage extends to all licenses being currently processed regardless of the stage of that processing. C. The bank would henceforth channel a significant portion of weekly allocations currently meant for BDCs to commercial banks to meet legitimate FX demand for ordinary Nigerians and businesses, whether for small-scale imports, medical bills, educational expenditure, personal and business travels, or any other legitimate needs as prescribed by the CBN's Foreign Exchange Manual.
Deferring on the decision, experts insist that except the fundamental problem of premium is resolved, banning BDCs might not be the solution.
I'm very sure that the kind of problem we had with the BDCs will manifest with the commercial banks, because there's a fundamental problem of the huge premium that exists. And the consequence of this is that there continue to be distortions in the foreign exchange market. And the way out of this is for the CBN to allow the market to function.
A few hours after the ban on foreign exchange sale to BDCs was announced, the naira fell slightly to the dollar, raising concerns of an emerging trend in the foreign exchange market. Folashade Ogunride, TV360 News.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has assured of the sound health of Nigeria's banking system. Emefiele gave the assurance during a press briefing at the end of the two-day meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee held on Tuesday. He added that those spreading misinformation about the financial soundness of Nigerian banks would be identified and prosecuted.
The strategic health of the Nigerian banking industry remains very, very strong. For instance, at today's meeting, Data was provided to Monetary Policy Committee members, and I will say we reviewed the financial soundness indicators of the Nigerian banking industry. For instance, capital adequacy ratio averages 15.5%. For the national banks, they are only meant to have just 10%. For the international banks, those operating with international licenses, they are supposed to operate at 15%. If we have an average of 15.5%, we believe that this capital adequacy, the Nigerian banking industry is well capitalized and can meet any shocks if they arise. 2, non-performing loans ratio today stands at 5.7%. Our prescribed maximum is 5%. Even at a time when there's global crisis, if we have 5.7 instead of 5, I think it's an indication of a sound banking system.
We'll take a short break here and return with stock market review. Sentiment on the domestic bourse maintained negative trend today, halting 5 consecutive days of gains from last week. That is the market's reaction as the Central Bank of Nigeria held all policy parameters unchanged, a decision reached after the Monetary Policy Committee 2-day meeting. The all-share index shed 0.03%. Moving on, activity chart was also in the reds. Volume value deals were lower than Tuesday's session as 237 million units of shares valued at over 1 billion naira exchange hands in 4,305 deals. So as a result of the downtrend, 24 losers led by Chief PLC from the financial services sector and ICT giant Triple G led the list of top losers at the close of trading today. Cap Hotel and Ohando made it to top advancers again as the both recorded a combined 73 kobo increase at the close of trading. Analysts are, however, of the opinion that more corporate earnings results should boost investors' appetite and bring the bulls back to the market before the end of the week. On the global scene, however, there's a FTSE, Dow Jones and the Nikkei. London's FTSE rose on Wednesday, supported by a set of strong corporate earnings led by Barclays, although the gains were capped by weakness in the heavyweight mining stocks. The Dow Jones opened in the reds today ahead of the Federal Reserve's policy decision. And in the same vein, Asian shares stayed stuck at 7-month lows on Wednesday as markets continued to digest a storm in Chinese equities market. That's all on stock market review. Over to Oyi for the rest of the news.
Thank you for that update, Bisola. Up next is Entertainment Report on News Now.
YouTube Music has selected Nigerian singer Bella Shmurda alongside 26 other artists to benefit from the 2021 edition of its Foundry Grant Initiative. YouTube Partnership Manager Adi Awufisayo, who made this known, says through the program, the selected artists would have combined access to resources and teams that would enable them create and launch their music with greater impact and global reach. The program ensures that artists could be independent and still have a successful career in music with the support of platforms like YouTube. Aside Bella, 26 artists were selected across 14 countries, including Abalucid of the United States, Bad Milk from Colombia, Blessed from Colombia, and Chilled from Japan. Veteran Nigerian music Onyeka Onwenu is the latest public figure to give her honest opinion on the much talked about funeral ceremony of Obi Cubana's mother in Oba, Anambra State. The respected musician bared her mind in an opinion piece where she made her comments about the funeral ceremony, which set social media abuzz. Onyeka made it clear that although she understands people are different and she doesn't berate people for how they choose to bury their loved ones with their money, she however expressed how uncomfortable the lavish display of wealth made her feel, especially at a time of lack and hardship for many people in the country. That's all we have for you on entertainment segment of News Now.
In sports, Nigeria's sole athlete in Taekwondo event at the ongoing Tokyo Olympics, Elizabeth Ayanacho, is still relishing her experience at her first Olympics Games. Ayanacho, although she lost to double Olympic medalist and former world champion Nur Tata of Turkey in the quarterfinals of the 67 kg category by 12 points to 7, Ayanacho is optimistic of putting up more an impressive performance in future games.
Well, even though we've studied and watched a lot of videos, my nervousness on that stage was still caught up with me. Although she's a very experienced fighter, she's ranked number 4 in the world, and she has a lot of exposure and experience. But I'm really glad I was able to at least fight her the way I did. So I know where to work on now and which area to cover up and how to actually manage my nervousness. It's a great event for every athlete, for every first timer. Even though it's the first time on the platform, it gives us a positive impact to go back and actually train more harder and want to come back here again and make the country proud, to make your friends proud, to make everybody that's been supporting you proud. So it's a platform that gives you the opportunity to showcase the talent you have, and it's a very positive vibe for us. So whatever we've learned here, we aspire to go back to improve on it, to train on it, to meditate on it, and to come back better and stronger.
Well, with that, we call it a wrap on News Now. I am Oyi Adekunle. Thank you for watching.